Go ahead, William.
Namo Fundamental Teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo Fundamental Teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo Fundamental Teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. The unsurpassed, deep, profound, subtle, wonderful Dharma in 100,000 million eons is difficult to encounter. Now that I have come to receive and hold it within my sight and hearing, I vow to fathom the thus come one's true and actual meaning.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. Okay. So last time we learned about. I think we're done with the number 9. Now we can move on. I think we're done, but we haven't do the story yet, right?
No.
Okay. Okay. Now I think it's go ahead and read the story. Yeah.
The great Indian Pandit Atisha had many teachers and received much instruction from them concerning the development of Bodhicitta. But not being satisfied, he set out on a dangerous journey to present-day Indonesia in order to receive teachings from the famous guru Serlingpa or Suvarnadipa. The difficult voyage took 13 months, but from this guru, Atisha was able to receive flawless and complete instructions on the method for developing the mind of enlightenment. Although Atisha had over 150 teachers, he referred to Serlingpa as his root guru. Even many years later, when he was in Tibet, if Atisha even heard the name of his root guru, he would immediately descend from his seat and prostrate to him. The Tibetans noticed that he did not do this for any other of his teachers and asked him why. He replied that from the instructions given him by Guru Serlingpa, he realized how to develop the precious bodhicitta. Atisha, the possessor of great learning, held bodhicitta supreme. Consequently, he venerated Serlingpa above all his other teachers.
Okay, so what do we learn from this?
That this, great Buddhist master Atisha had many teachers, but the teacher who he revered most highly was the one who taught him how to most effectively taught him how to cultivate bodhicitta. And that this is a kind of reinforcing the same theme that we've seen here is the value of bodhicitta being supreme over perhaps any other teaching.
So yeah, this is the way we see that it's supreme, right? Above everything else. So bodhicitta is very important aspect. But why so important that when he Serlingpa teach him how to develop the bodhicitta? Why so important that he received this teaching, and that means he value this the most?
Well, maybe like he referred to Serlingpa as his root teacher, maybe we could view bodhicitta as like the root for the tree of true practice, and that leads to the fruition of like not just our own enlightenment, but the liberation of others and their enlightenment. That without bodhicitta, there is no tree. So that's why it's held as supreme, because without it, all of everything else that one would wish to follow couldn't follow.
Wow, okay, that's very good. All right, let's see the benefit of the bodhicitta. All right, I think this one we already read sometime very long time ago, but it's worth it to revisit one more time. Tammy, go ahead and start from beginning.
The benefits of bodhicitta. The practice of the Bodhisattva path. One must generate bodhicitta. So what is the principle of the Bodhisattva? Bodhisattvas benefit others as their own duties. and diligently enlighten themselves and enlighten others until perfect attainment is the attainment of supreme Bodhi, Buddhahood. And the Adornment Flower Sutra, chapter 21, teaches the following. Then the Buddhas bestowed on the enlightening being forest of virtues, unobstructed knowledge, unattached knowledge, uninterrupted knowledge, teacherless knowledge, knowledge without folly, unvarying knowledge, unerring knowledge, immeasurable knowledge, invincible knowledge, unflagging knowledge, and knowledge that cannot be taken away. Why? Because the power of this concentration is naturally thus. Then the Buddhas each extended their right hands and patted the enlightening being forest of virtues on the head, whereupon he rose from concentration and addressed the enlightening being, saying, O Buddha children, the practice of enlightening beings is inconceivable, equal to the space of the cosmos. Why? Because enlightening beings cultivate practice and emulation of the Buddhas of past, present, and future. Buddha children, great enlightening beings, have 10 kinds of practices which are expounded by the Buddhas of past, present, and future. What are the 10? 1. The practice of giving joy. 2. Beneficial practice. 3. The practice of non-opposition. 4. The practice of indomitability. 5. The practice of non-confusion. 6. The practice of good manifestation. 7. The practice of non-attachment. 8. The practice of that which is difficult to attain. 9. The practice of good teaching. 10. The practice of truth. What is the great enlightening being's practice of giving joy? Here the enlightening beings are magnanimous givers, bestowing whatever they have with an equanimous mind, without regret, without hoping for a reward, without seeking honor, without coveting material benefits, but only to rescue and safeguard all living beings, to include all living beings in their care, to benefit all living beings, and to emulate the original practice of all Buddhas. Recall the original practice of all Buddhas. Delight in the original practice of all Buddhas. Purify the original practice of all Buddhas. Further develop the original practice of all Buddhas. Make manifest the original practice of all Buddhas, and expound the original practice of all Buddhas, to cause all sentient beings to be relieved of pain and suffering and attain comfort and happiness. When great enlightening beings cultivate this practice, they cause all living beings joy and delight. In any place there is poverty and want, they go there by the power of will to be born noble and wealthy, so that even if every single moment countless beings come to the enlightening beings and say, O benevolent one, we are poor and in need, without substance, hunger, and weak, worn out and miserable, on the brink of death, please pity us and give us your flesh to eat, so that we may live. The enlightening beings would immediately give it to them, to gladden and satisfy them. Even should countless hundreds of thousands of beings come begging this way, the enlightening beings would not shrink back, but would rather increase even more in kindness and compassion. Indeed, because sentient beings all come seeking, the enlightening beings, seeing them, would become more joyful and think, I have gained a fine boon. These beings are my field of blessings. They are my good friends and benefactors. Without my asking them, they come to cause me to enter into the Buddhist teaching. I should now cultivate learning in this way, not controverting the wishes of sentient beings. They also form this thought, may all the good that I have done, do, and will do cause me in the future in all worlds, among all beings, to receive an immense body, so as to satisfy all starving beings with the flesh of this body. And may I not die so long as even a single tiny creature is still not filled. And may the flesh I cut off be inexhaustible. But this virtue may I attain unexcelled, complete perfect enlightenment, and experience a great nirvana. And may those who eat my flesh also attain perfect enlightenment and attain impartial knowledge, fulfill all Buddha teachings, extensively perform Buddha work until entering extinction without remainder. If the heart of even one sentient being is unfulfilled, I will not attain unexcelled perfect enlightenment. Thus, doing enlightening beings benefit the living, yet without any concept of self or any concept of sentient beings or any concept of existence or any concept of life, without various concept, no concept of personality, no concept of person, no concept of human being, no concept of doer or receiver. They only observe the infinity of the realm of reality and the realm of sentient beings, their emptiness, absence of existence, singlelessness, insubstantiality, indeterminateness, non-dependence, and non-creation. When they perform this contemplation, they do not see themselves.
Almost done. Almost done.
Okay. They do not see anything given. They do not see a receiver. They do not see a field of blessings. They do not see a deed. They do not see any reward. They do not see any result. They do not see a great result. They do not see a small result. Then the enlightening beings observe that all the bodies taken on by living beings in the past, future, and present eventually perish. Then they form this thought: how remarkable it is, how foolish and ignorant sentient beings are. Within birth and death, they receive countless bodies which are perishable and transcendent, soon returning to decay and extinction, having already passed away, now passing away, and yet to pass away. They still cannot use the destructible body to see the indestructible body. I should learn all that the Buddhists learn, to realize all in science, know all truths, and explain to sentient beings the indestructible nature of reality, which is equal in past, present, and future, and which accords with utmost tranquility and serenity to cause them to permanently attain peace and happiness. This is called the Great Enlightening Being's first practice of giving joy.
Very good. Stop right there. I think it's better now. But what do you think?
So it's all of it's describing the first practice of giving joy, and it's basically talking about and giving different examples of bodhisattvas giving everything, even their own flesh, to feed other beings, and how when they're giving, they're actually extremely happy to give and feel like they're benefiting from it, and that people are rewarding them by coming to them and asking for these things, and that they're able to become more Buddha-like by being able to give so generously without expecting anything.
Is it realistic?
No, not in real life. That's not realistic, because normally people, I mean, you might find people able to give without, expecting to receive anything, but to expect somebody to give of their own flesh, that's not realistic.
Okay. So let's think about this. When we talk about giving their own flesh, what does that mean, William? Is that the hidden meaning as well?
Yeah. Well, I think it's kind of an ultimate example of an attachment and realization of like the nature of our bodies, like how in this last paragraph they talk about it, how these bodies perish, and then there's another one and it perishes, and they're really not, in a true sense, they don't belong to a person that we are. So in being willing to give them up because it pleases other beings, it's just sort of like saying that the only thing that matters is that compassion towards other beings, because the body being empty and impermanent and meaningless, if giving it up would alleviate someone else's suffering, then there's no point in not giving it up. Now I think we all have to know our limits in that, if there may be a more skillful way for someone to solve that person's suffering. So I don't think we're meant to try to put ourselves in a position where someone's asking to eat our flesh. But it's just saying that, you know, a bodhisattva who had a deep realization, that would not be any sort of problem.
Actually, it's well, it's both. It's both. Actually, it's in the past, the Sakyamuni Buddha, when he practiced the Bodhisattva path, he did give up many his own body to remember the story. He feed the tiger, right? Yeah, that is one. And actually, there are many stories, even more than the feeding the tiger. But in this life, if you look at the people who so selfish, who so what do you call stingy, right? Very stingy. And if you ask them to donate, to give away, give to the homeless or whatever who in need, it's very tough for them. It's just like take their own flesh, cut their own flesh to give to others. Because when they give away their money, it's just like cut their own flesh, give out to others. This is another meaning. So yes, I saw this type of people already. They are very rich, and you know what? They not even give anything to their loved one. They don't even give to their parents. No. And you know what? Not even they don't spend money for their own life. They don't even buy expensive food for themselves. No. So they don't know how to enjoy it, but they have a lot of money. So for what? If you ask these people to do the giving, no way. They cannot be able to do it. And if they do it, if they have to do it, then that means that they cut off their own flesh to give to the other people. Tell me, does it make sense to you?
Yeah, and I've met people like this too, of course. And the problem with that is it actually prevents them, I think, from actually being rewarded more. So if you're selfish and you hold to yourself, and even can't even, like you said, even give to yourself to enjoy what you've earned, you know, by buying a nice meal or buying clothes or whatever, you're actually not going to get. If you give it out, if you're able to give freely and to enjoy it, then you're more likely to receive more in. But if you just receive and won't give, that's not a good flow. So you won't earn as much as you potentially could, I think.
But for these people, it doesn't matter what kind of Dharma you talk to them, they cannot be able to hear it. Okay, so that is one thing. And actually, the Buddha in the past, okay, before that, well, the Buddha in the past, he basically used his own body to feed to satisfy the living being, right? By feeding them. If they hungry, just like the tiger, right? The mom, the tiger mom, and the cooks, and also in the past when one time in the in one of the Buddha land, the Sakyamuni Buddha, he was the layman. He was one of the minister of the king, right? He be able to convince the king and all the thousands of the king children. That means because this king is the turning wheel, the what do you call the wheel turning king, right? He is very powerful, and the Bodhisattva also encouraged all the living beings in that all the people in that country, as well as he be able to convince the God in the God realm. That means from the desire realm to the form realm, he be able to convince them to generate the Bodhicitta, right? To do, and how do he encourage them? That means because at that time where there was the Buddha, the Buddha appeared in the world, and basically that Buddha is his own son. He have the minister have 80 children, and the youngest one is the Buddha, right? And therefore he encouraged all the people to come and offer to the Buddha and to do all the good deeds. and that's what he did from the king to all the way up to the heaven, right? And also the spirits. After they do all the good deeds by offering to the Buddha and the Sangha, and basically he want to know the king and his 1,000 sons. After they done that good deed, what do they use that for? Transferring the marriage to what, right? He want to know what do they want from this good cause. I mean the result. So basically, he know that this the king and his 1,000 sons, they all want to be reborn into the heaven and enjoy life after this life. And you know what? He came directly to the king and also those 1,000 sons in front of the Buddha, and he said that, you know what? Even though, yes, you definitely you will be able to get to enjoy the heaven. Think about it. You are the king right now. After this life, right? You can be born into the heaven. What happened if after you finish all the blessings, and your body will, because they come and go, right? And one day decay, and you fall into the three evil realms. And you know what? You will stuck into the rebirth cycle for a long time. You cannot be able to get out. So what? And from there, he introduced the king and all the being, all the other living beings, include the heaven, in front of the Buddha. Said that you need to resolve or generate the Bodhicitta. That means practice loving kindness and compassion toward all beings to benefit the living being, also benefit yourself. And this is the most important of all. And when you use this, whatever the good deed you did, you always transfer the merit to all the living being in the Dhamma realm, not to the specific realm of your own for yourself. No, you don't want to transfer the marriage for your own good cause. No, you transfer the marriage to every. That's how it helps us to open our mind. The marriage, the blessing that will increase. It depends on the mind. It not depend on the material, right? So when we transfer the merit, that means our mind is open to all living beings. That means the mind is no limit. That means the blessing we get is no limit. So the Bodhicitta is the root cause of all this good. All this. So that's why, and also. Yes, and after that, most of Bodhisattva, most of those beings, that means Bodhisattva, they generate the Bodhicitta to want to become the Buddha in the future. But each one of them, each one of the Bodhisattva, they make the vow, right? Before they want to practice the Bodhisattva path, they need to make the vow. Before they make the vow, they need to generate the Bodhicitta. That's how it works, right? Because they already, okay, now they be able to generate the Bodhicitta. And now they make the vow. And most of their vow is they want to select the Pure Land to practice the good realm of the Pure Land, to practice the Bodhisattva path. But the former life of Sakyamuni Buddha, that means he was the minister. He was the one who made the vow, the last one who made the vow. After all this being made the vow, he the last one who made the vow. He made 500 vows, and all of his vow is he want to stay in the evil world to practice the Bodhisattva. And also, he wants to spend a lot of time in the three evil realms to help them. because that's how he be able to become Buddha so quickly. Does that make sense? So let's go back to here, and after that life, right? When all the Bodhisattva finish their life, and it depends on its own vow. They be born into whatever the realm that according to their vow. And this Bodhisattva, that means the former life of the Buddha, he always be born now. From that time on, he always be born into the world just like we have right now. The evil world, right? And you know what? Most of his life, he sacrificed his own body to cause the evil being to become to be able to practice to keep up the 5 precepts, practice the 10 good deeds, and also practice the Bodhisattva. So that's why it took him. From this reading here, he said that all the living beings are foolish, right? Include us. Why it's foolish? Because we've been through countless life, right? We have countless body, and those body is ferrous. Yeah, it's come and go, and we never use the body to benefit others. That means we never think about using the destructible body to find the indestructible body. Does it make sense? Destructible body, that means the body that the unenlightened one, that's the one we stuck in the rebirth cycle. And the indestructible body, that means go back to the Dharma body. This is called the indestructible body. And how the Bodhisattva be able to practice so diligently, that means they give up their own body to benefit others, even cut their own flesh. Actually, the Buddha did this in the past so many. You look at now, right? A lot of monks who burn themselves, right? You see that Tibetan monk, and also the Vietnamese monk in 1963, right? He burned himself to raise the void to the world, right? So they be able to do that. So when talking about if cut their own flesh to feed others, I think it's the one who be able to have that kind of samadhi. They be able to do it. So it's doable. It's not. So they can burn themselves, right? So when the people in the samadhi, and if you read the story of Master Su Yin, right? The Master Su Yin is the teacher of the Master San Hua, right? And the Master San Hua is my teacher. And do you know what happened to him when he was in the prison by the communists during 1913 or 14, something like that? What happened to him?
It's been a while since I've read that one. I know, I think, is that the second time he was really beaten badly? Because wasn't he beaten badly twice? Once because people thought he had gold in the monastery.
Yeah, that's right.
And then was it? I didn't remember the one about the prison. I remembered that I think he was beaten a second time.
Yeah, he was put into the prison, and he was beaten badly. And for 10 days, he was beaten for strictly 10 days, and they give up. Because this man is incredible, right? So, but at the time that he was into too deeply, but he also in the state of samadhi. And what happened during the state of samadhi? He went to the see who?
Maitreya.
Maitreya Bodhisattva in where?
I think it's the Bodhicitta heaven, isn't that where
Yeah,
Maitreya is? Yes.
yeah, Bodhicitta heaven. That is where the Maitreya is the host of that heaven, right? To teach all the Bodhisattva, right? So basically, see the Venerable Master Su Yin, he be able to do that. And you know what? And after that, when he went up there, the Bodhisattva said that, oh, your karma is not due yet. You have to come back there and stay there and until you pay all your debt, and you can come up here.
That autobiography is really expensive right now. It's like over $100 to buy it on Amazon.
Oh, I have the book. Do you want it? I can send to you. I mean the link.
Oh, the online link? Yeah, that would be cool.
Okay, I will send to you. I think I have one. I found one. I think. Let me check it. I'm not so sure. I think I have it. And you know what? and he after that he got beaten for many days. And you know what? He never had any ill will against those people. And he always make the vow that he wished that those people who harming him right now to be able to well, right? And I hope them in the future they be able to have a good root for the Buddha teaching, and be able to practice the Bodhicitta. So this is actual love and kindness, compassion. So how this is the most important difference between the Bodhisattva and the Sauhya or Pachika Buddha. This is the difference. Because okay, the Buddha and the Bodhisattva always see the world and also living being, right? They are illusion, right? It's not real. Okay, but and also the Sauhya, Sauhya, that means the one who practice for the full root of Arahat, right? And Pachika Buddha, they also see the world and the living being also illusion, because everything come and go due to the cause and condition. Does it make sense? When the cause met the condition, those will come into existence, right? That means the being. But when the condition is done, that means it will go away. We call, okay, when it come into existence, we call birth. When it go away, we call death. But there ain't no actually birth or death, right? So, but the Bodhisattva, even though they see all the world and also the whole universe, not only the world, also the living being, even the Buddha land, they are impermanent. So they are not permanent. All the living being is also illusion. They are not real. But due to that, they always they will never give up the Bodhisattva practice, Bodhisattva vow, and they never give up the living being. Why? Because they they arrive with the love and kindness and compassion. Why they be able to have the love and kindness and compassion arrive? Because the living being, they don't see the world, and the living being is delusion. They see it real. Does it make sense? Because they see it real, therefore the compassion and the love and kindness of the Bodhisattva and the Buddha arise due to that. Yes, Buddha and Bodhisattva be able to have no more ignorance. But what about the living being? We should not forget them, right? But the Pacceka Buddha and the South here, they don't see the other part of the image. Therefore, they cannot be able to generate the Bodhicitta. But the Bodhisattva and the Buddha be able to have the Bodhicitta. Due to the Bodhicitta, right? They be able to give up everything, even on their own flesh, because of loving kindness and compassion. That is the foot right there. Does it make sense?
Yes, but I have a question, Tai.
Okay.
The majority of the sentient beings, they don't think that life is illusions. They always thinking is a real, and they hold on to it. That's why they don't change their thinking or their mind to, like you say before, helping others, because they always look out for themselves first.
Mm-hmm.
So what, maybe because they didn't, have a chance or something to understand what the Buddha path is, and maybe they have a lack of knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm thinking is we might need to spread this a little bit more further, so that they can get the message.
Okay. So what is your question then?
My question is, how can we help them?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a very good question. Tell me, what do you think about his question? Okay, thank you.
I think it's a very good question too.
I think so too. Well, tell me, you understand so far? I explained to William, right?
Yeah, I understand, but I agree with Jimmy, and not only for other people, for myself, just like I hear what you're saying and I understand what you're saying, and I can take bits and pieces throughout, moments in time where I can, sit and try to tell myself that's the truth, that it's all delusion and none of it's real. But it's really hard to like accept and realize.
Okay, good. Okay, William, how do we make it become real?
Yeah, I think that requires progressing through meditation. So I think the Buddha in the early teachings laid out the practice of first calming the mind, then the arising of mindfulness, and then the insight that comes from maintaining mindfulness. And that insight is the kind of the direct, like the conclusions we come to with anything in our daily life. We see that, okay, if I don't pay attention to this rice, it's gonna get burnt. So, and I know sometimes I get distracted, so I need to make a special effort to actually be there to turn it down from high heat, to put it on to simmer and cover the rice so it doesn't get burnt. We just, through our experience, we come to that natural conclusion. Now, when I think we're taught these teachings about impermanence and emptiness and suffering, I think we can quickly see them through understanding. But when we are, when we go through those stages of the like direct meditative experience, and our mind of itself comes to the conclusion of just through our witnessing of like things as they are, we come to the conclusion where we couldn't be convinced otherwise, where we see it so clearly that the impermanence and the emptiness. I think that's where the really transformation occurs, is through the regular practice in meditation. It's like the intellectual understanding opens the door for us to do the practice. But then if we don't do the practice, it remains intellectual. And I don't think it happens immediately, especially with most of our lifestyles today, that we have a lot of other things we're responsible for. I think, the Buddha said if the teachings were followed perfectly, like one could achieve arhatship in a week. But I think most of us have so many distractions that, we have to be compassionate with ourselves and just keep returning to it.
Well, yes, but if he doesn't expect you to become a arhat within a week.
That's right. Right. It's theoretically possible.
Yeah,
Theoretically possible.
But I think for the normal people like us, no,
so many things going on.
Yeah, it's almost impossible. But anyway, let me come back here. So basically, if we look throughout the Buddhism history, right, we know that the Buddha teaching always give the root, right? The fruit, that means the result. So when the people practice, they attain the result. Throughout many for the more than 2,500 years ago, right? So but when at the Buddha time, right, when 10 people come to him, almost 10 people can be able to enlighten. This is what we call the Dhamma age, the proper Dhamma age, right? After 500 years, right, it will turn into what you call, I don't know what. I think it's I don't know what is the term they call in English. It's not the Dhamma age, but it's not the extinction age. This is the age in between. So that means about 10 people come to learn Buddhism. Only 2 people can be able to understand and attend the result. But now, after 1,000 years later on, that means 1,500 years later on, and we are in the age of what is this age we call? What do we call? I forgot.
Is it the Dharma ending age?
Oh, the ending Dhamma age, right? The ending Dhamma age, something like that, right? So that means even 1 million people practice, right? Only maybe 1 or 2 people can be able to attend the result. Why was that? Because look at the more technology we have, the more morality, the downgrade, right? Think about in that term. When I teach the kids, right? In the past, we don't have a video game. They can be able to come and learn and be able to focus. Maybe 30 years ago. But now, when you teach the kids, 10 of them, almost 10 of them, they addict to a video game, some way or the other. And it's very tough for them to focus, and it's very tough for the teacher to be able to deliver the same message for the old kid in the past to this group of generation. So the message is no changing, but the audience is changing. You understand? This is very tough. But even though for that situation, the Bodhisattva will not give up on the living being, because due to their Bodhicitta, due to their loving kindness and compassion. And you know what? In order to benefit the living being, we need to ensure the Dhamma stay in the world for a long time. And how do we do that? We are the one who try to practice and keep up with the practice. And we make that Dhamma living, right? For a long time, as long as we could. So to benefit as many as we could, right? So let me go back to the sutra. We read the 12 days, right? We read the first one they call the Adornment Lao Sutra. That is the first sutra the Buddha spoken after 21 days. 21 days after enlightenment. The first 21 days after enlightenment. And the last sutra that he spoken is we call the Great Nirvana Sutra. And this sutra is so important. From this sutra, what do we understand? Okay, when he after he spoken the highest sutra are called a Doman Flower Sutra to the great Bodhisattva only. That is the audience, not for the South here or Pacceka Buddha, because they cannot be able to understand it. So after that, he lower his teaching very to the lowest point. So he teaching for the South here and Pacceka Buddha. Does it make sense? And but before the teaching, the other religion, they always talk about the self, right? That means the creator. It means the self. The permanent, that means the creator is permanent, right? And the joy, right? They're talking about the joy that they have. And they are also talking about the purity. So at that time, the Buddha reject all those things. And how when he reject those kind of belief from the other religion, and what he substitute with the teaching for the South here and the Pacceka Buddha, he said that you need to contemplate on the feeling. When you contemplate the feeling, the result of the feeling is suffering, right? When you contemplate on the mind, the result of the contemplation of the mind is impermanent. And that's why he said that all phenomenon in this universe is impermanent. And when you contemplate on the Dharma or phenomenon, it have no self. Right? Have no self. Because there is no true self. Because due to the impermanent, therefore there is no true self. And also well, there is no naturally, and when you contemplate on the body, right, it's impurity, right? So all this teaching here for the South here and for the Pacceka Buddha, it's counter the other religion teaching, the other religion belief. Does it make sense so far? If you don't, if I don't read the Great Nirvana Sutra, I do not understand this concept. And you know what? Now, this is the time today, he will enter into Nirvana, and he spoke the Sutra. And to make sure that we should have a strong faith into the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. How? So he said that the fourth teaching the teaching I give to so basically the Nirvana of the South here and also the Pacceka, they represent for the impermanent, because the impermanent and also the no self, and also no self in this thing is because all the living being and also the world, they are illusion. That's where they have no self. And therefore those things give when they contemplate on this thing, they be able to attain the nirvana, the happiness. But this nirvana is just a temporary; it's not real. If you read the flower Dhamma, the Dhamma flower sutra, and you will understand that. Remember the CD that are created by the what do you the good advisor, remember? He's the leader, and he leads the whole group to find the tracer. But on the way, they say that I'm very tired. We're tired, and we cannot no longer be able to keep walking. And so what he A good advisor is be able to manifest and create the temporary palette for them to rest. It's the same concept. This is the nirvana of the self here and of the practical Buddha. So, in order to have the great nirvana, you need to have the 32 mark like the Buddha and 8 wonderful character feature like the Buddha, and you have to eat the 18 wonderful. I don't know how to use it in English.
In the Lotus Sutra, I think they say the 18 unshared properties.
Okay, 18 unshared properties. And the 10 great vow. 10 great power of the Buddha, and all those things. Yes, then you will. That means you have to become a Buddha. Then that is what we call the great nirvana. So in the great nirvana, the Buddha say, okay, before I teach you, I say that everything is impermanent, but the Dhamma body or the Buddha nature of all the living beings have the Buddha nature, and the Buddha have the Dhamma body. It is the same. They're no different in quality. So this is permanent. Why? Because the Dhamma body, how big the Dhamma body is, it's the base for the entire universe. That means everywhere is the Dhamma body. Does that make sense? So that means because the Dhamma body is embodied all the universal law, all the law of the universe. That's what the Dhamma body is, right? So that means it pervades the whole universe. It's like the empty space, right? And also the Buddha said that, so the permanent is counter the impermanent teaching of the self here. Does that make sense? This is important. The joy, right? The joy that the joy when you attend the Dhamma body, the joy you have is unbelievable. Because there is no suffering, there is no increase, there is no decrease, there is no attachment. Because we don't live in the duality world. Even though we in the duality world, but our mind always at the state of the samadhi. The Buddha mind always in the nirvana, even though he doesn't need to enter the samadhi. No. That is the joy. It's beyond the self here and practical Buddha. And this is the true self. The true self in this case is the Dhamma body. There is no entity. It's different from the other religion. They're talking about the self. They're talking about the entity. Does that make sense? There is no entity in this self. And also the great nirvana also represents the Dhamma body is pure, so pure. So that means permanent counter the impermanent teaching. The joy counter the suffering, right? The self counter the no self teaching. The purity is counter the impurity. Does that make sense? This is important. So so this is very powerful teaching, and actually in this later on, I would like you to Let me put together the sutra in bilingual language, okay, with me and English side by side. And well, we will have to have a start a class maybe 15 minutes before, just like at 5:45 in my time. And we spend about 15 or 20 minutes to read those things. Just read it, and we don't need to. I don't need to explain. Just read it to get through it. Okay. And later on, when we learn, and we will, when I reference it, you will be able to remember. You'll be able to understand it. So I wish that I want you and Tammy have a chance to read this. This is the Mahayana Sutra teaching. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. Okay, anyway, that's why the Bodhicitta is so important, because due to the loving kindness and compassion practice, we be able to succeed whatever we want, right? So this is important. That's why it is the root cause of all result. Okay, let's. Any questions so far? Jimmy, and Jimmy. So is that to help you to answer your question?
Yes, it does. Yeah, appreciate it. So another thing that we need to do, we need to spread a lot of words to the community first, before we reach to somebody that have that kind of meditation like Williams mentioned. So that's a great thing.
So if we don't read this kind of sutra, we have no idea what the Buddha teaching. Then you know what, we cannot be able to have the right view. Even the South here, Buddhist, South here and the Pacceka Buddha, they do not completely have the right view. Think in terms of nothing. If they not be able to hear the Great Nirvana Sutra, they do not have the right view. Does it make sense? Because they only see half of the picture. They don't see the whole picture. So it's important. All this benefit come from where? The Bodhicitta. Okay. Okay, Tammy and William, do you have any question? Hopefully, the way I lay out it, hopefully you will be able to put together and understand.
No, I don't have any questions. I feel like this one part that Tammy read, wow, we could talk about just that one part for months. There's so much in that.
But if we don't read it, we don't understand what the Buddha said, right? Mm-hmm. So this is beautiful. So it's very beautiful teaching. And you don't see anything in here when the Buddha, the Bodhisattva is doing the giving. They don't see the giver. They don't see the donor. They don't see the object. That's the beauty right there. Because there's no self, right? This is the practice of no self. The giving of no self. That's the important. Anyway. Okay. I hope we good. Okay, we stop right here. Go ahead, and Jimmy.
May every living being, our minds as one and radiant, with light share the fruit of peace, with heart of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in given unity, may their minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light break the darkness of their endless night. Because of our hearts are one. this world of pains turn into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise.
Okay. Over. Thank you. So, yeah, we before we stop, just go ahead and you can do the mantra. I think that's a good thing for you.